Go.
Hi folks, Willie Jackson here. The reason I have created this blog entitled Conspiracy Before the Act.blogspot.com is because for 7 years I've had the fortune of having the time to be able to devote, to be able to read approximately 6 to 7 hours a day. And one thing I've noticed is that what I'm reading, it's not adding up. What I'm seeing, what I'm observing, what I'm hearing, what I'm watching, none of this makes sense. And I started to put together my thoughts in the form of this blog. I'll give you examples. Nancy Pelosi was the former Speaker of the House. When interviewed, she made a quote which was, "We have to pass these laws in order to know what's in them." We elect representatives to go and vote on legislation on behalf of the public. How can they pass laws without knowing what the laws contain? And that's certainly not representing me as a citizen of the United States. I would like to know what I'm voting on and what is in the legislation. Ben Bernanke, he came in as the Federal Reserve chairman, and he started a program called quantitative easing. Really, quantitative easing is nothing more than digitizing our money. It's creating money from thin air to the tune of over $1 trillion a year. And this has been going on for roughly the last 5 years. We're probably about $4 trillion. I don't understand that. I mean, again, it doesn't add up. If the government could just create money out of thin air, why would any of us bother to go to work? Why would we just not sit home and have the government mail us checks? And if he's creating this money, which he has been, who's getting it? In my readings, there'll be articles that are pointing out a lot of this, and what I'm noticing is that I do not think it's benefiting the American people as a whole, and I certainly do not think it's benefiting children or grandchildren. In Conspiracy Before the Act, in my reading, in my observations, what the act is, in my opinion, President Obama was quoted as saying, 5 days before the election in 2008, we are 5 days away from the fundamental transformation of our country. 5 days away. In my opinion, President Obama was telling us exactly what Conspiracy Before the Act is. It is the fundamental transformation of a capitalistic economy, private ownership, private equity, to a dictatorship. That's a strong term to use, but I will attempt my best to explain that to the people. In a dictatorship, you do not question why. A dictator rules through fear, through force. In a republic, we send elected representatives to represent the people's view. What happens in a republic is, Ben Franklin was quoted as saying, "The type of government I have given you, ma'am, is a republic, if you can keep it." That was back in 1776. Well, Ben was right on the money. Some 240 years later, it's a fact that we cannot and have not been able to keep our republic. Our republic has morphed into a democracy, and the elected leaders that we send in a democratic process do not rule in the interests of the people. They rule in the self-interest, in the interest of the state, generally through lobbyists who contribute large amounts of money, campaign re-election funds. In fact, the only job of a legislator today is to stay in office once they are in office. You would like to think that what our forefathers fought for, the republic, that we truly would have a voice in our government. What I hope to accomplish through Conspiracy Before the Act is to have the people of this country take that voice back. It is imperative that the adults and the grandparents play leadership role, and that the young people get educated at home, because they're certainly not being educated in the school. The young people need to understand our history as a country, why many people from throughout the world fought to come to the United States for a chance at a better life and a chance to get away from whatever repressive dictatorship they may have been under. And we're allowing this to slip right through our fingers. We haven't been diligent in guarding our freedoms. You take your freedoms for granted and they disappear faster than sands in an hourglass. They're just gone. These t-shirts that I had made up, basically all it's saying is our credit rating. United States treasuries were supposed to be the safest investment in the world. Grandmothers and grandfathers and older people would invest their retirement monies into Federal Reserve backed securities, because there was very little risk. The country would have to default. Who would ever think the United States of America could default? Well, today, in the year 2014, we have over $17 trillion in debt. We have over $140 trillion in unfunded liabilities. An unfunded liability is simply something that is we owe the people of the country. If they've contributed to Social Security, or if they've contributed, they may expect veterans benefits, they may expect 401k matching funds from a company, they may expect, I can't even think of the programs right now, but any government program, Medicaid, Social Security, subsidized housing, vet benefits, food stamps. Every one of these programs is something that a legislator has promised the people in order to get a vote. The problem is the legislators never told us how they were going to pay for these funds, these programs. That is all rolled into a $140 trillion tab that we're passing on to our children and grandchildren. What kind of life can they expect if the valuation of their currency becomes worthless, and if the Minimum Wage Act was established in 1937? It was 25 cents an hour at that time. You may laugh at that. President Obama today in 2014 is saying he wants to raise the minimum wage to $10.15 an hour. That's 40 times the original minimum wage. But the amazing thing is that quarter in 1937 would actually buy you not 40 times the equivalency of today, it would buy you 80 times, 160 times. The people have lost 75% to 90% of their purchasing power. So they can continue to raise the minimum wage, $10 this year, $15 5 years from now, $25 10 years from now. The problem will be is that it will not buy you anything in the equivalency. All these items that I'm pointing to in Conspiracy Before the Act